There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. It is better to try something and fail than to try nothing and succeed. The result may be the same, but you won't be. We always grow more through defeats than victories. Hope is passion for what is possible. The unhappy person is never present to themselves because they always live in the past or the future. If I could prescribe only one remedy for all the ills of the modern world, I would prescribe silence. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. The thing that cowardice fears most is decision. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. People settle for a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness. It is the duty of the human understanding to understand that there are things which it cannot understand. The minority is always stronger than the majority, because the minority is generally formed by those who really have an opinion. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Confidence is the present tense of hope. In order to help another effectively, I must understand what he understands. If I do not know that, my greater understanding will be of no help to him. Instruction begins when you put yourself in his place, so that you may understand what he understands and in the way he understands it. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. Take a chance and you may lose. Take not a chance and you have lost already. Most people are subjective toward themselves and objective toward all others, frightfully objective sometimes, but the task is precisely to be objective toward oneself and subjective toward all others. It's better to get lost in the passion than to lose the passion. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. The door to happiness opens outward. It is not the path which is the difficulty, rather, it is the difficulty which is the path. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. Which is more difficult, to awaken one who sleeps or to awaken one who is awake, dreams that he is awake? The deepest form of despair is to choose to be another than himself. Patience is necessary, and one cannot reap immediately where one has sown. Most people rush after pleasure so fast that they rush right past it. The more a person limits himself, the more resourceful he becomes. A road well begun is the battle half won. The important thing is to make a beginning and get underway. Don't forget to love yourself. The truth must essentially be regarded as in conflict with this world. The world has never been so good and will never become so good that the majority will desire the truth. During the first period of a man's life, the greatest danger is not to take the risk. A man who is a physical being is always turned toward the outside, thinking that his happiness lies outside him, finally turns inward and discovers that the source is within him. It is more blessed to give than to receive, but then it is also more blessed to be able to do without than to have. Adversity not only draws people together, but brings forth that beautiful inward friendship. There is no greater evil one can suffer than to hate reasonable discourse. Personality is only ripe when a man has made the truth his own. The most common despair is not choosing or willing to be oneself, but the deepest form of despair is to choose to be another than oneself. No time of life is so beautiful as the early days of love, when with every meeting, every glance, one fetches something new home to rejoice over. It is impossible to exist without passion.